because of a triangle of your own making.
That's in your head.
It's really, really, really quite ridiculous. And I hope that when she leaves the house, she reviews her behavior because of a triangle of these own
That's in
occurrences.
your head.
It's really, really, really quite ridiculous. And I don't want to speak down on Wathoni, but I'm a little bit concerned with her propensity to exaggerate any situation in her mind and then to speak on it as if those are facts. Do you get me? She's done it. This would be what, the second or third time she's doing it. This is the third time she's doing it with Erica, with V and Tolani Badge, and now again with Dora. Luckily for her, Dora is not the kind to give audience this kind of nonsense. So let's just keep watching that and see how it goes. We're gonna take some quick comments from Twitter once again. Shorty Beesum says, "I'm so grateful for the breakdown of the Wathoni Dorothy Bright O situation because I didn't watch any of it happen. Thank you at Ifia GK." Olugbemi says, "Dora was feeling Brighto. She told him twice that she wanted to kiss him. She also told Biggie that a thing was developing between them and she would like to explore it. But Tony has now poured sand inside her Gary and turfed her. This life, no balance." My brother, ain't no balance at all. Ain't no balance at all. Do we have any comments on YouTube?
Not at the moment. Just go ahead.
All right.
When they come up, I'm going to read them.
Okay, so another thing I wanted to discuss with you is we found out on Twitter that Kid Wire was called into the diary room to make the decision between Praise and Wathoni because there was a tie, 6 votes each, and he needed to break the tie between Praise and Wathoni. Now, this wasn't shown to the viewers. As you all know, we don't get to see the nomination process in full. So something this dramatic, the first time it's happened since my watching of a Big Brother, where a head of house decides who to turf, who to evict. It's never happened since I've been watching BB Naija, right? Something that monumental happened and we weren't shown. We had to see and hear about it on Twitter because it was put on the African Magic website. What's your reading of this, one? And two, what do you think informed Kid's decision to turf Praise over Wathoni?
Okay, personally, I think that sorry, take your question again, please.
What do you think of production's failure to show the viewers something that monumental, which is a head of house evicting a housemate? That's never happened before in my history of watching BB Naija. And secondly, what do you think informed Kid Wire's decision to evict Praise instead of Wathoni?
Okay, so on the production's part, of not showing us something like that. I mean, we remember that from the second week, we've been going on and on about the need for the viewers to at least, that's from the second or the third week now, we've been going on and on about the need for the viewers to at least see the voting process, like how it's happening. I don't think that, for me, that's like taking off all the excitement because just watching it live, I know that we still get to watch it on the website and all of that, but then just being able to watch it live as it's happening, that also helps us to know, for instance, the kind of decision that Kid Wire made, because we totally missed everything, okay? And so if we didn't even watch, if we didn't even watch how the housemates voted, and then imagine that Kid Wire went to do a tiebreaker, which has never happened before. It was something that they were obviously supposed to show to the viewers, but they also didn't show that to us. I don't know what's informed the decision to do that, but I just think that, come on, I think the viewers deserve more, Premium, people are paying a lot of money to be able to watch the show, people to be able to vote higher as well, because you know how your votes are tied to whatever bouquet you're on. So
yes.
So some people have had to do upgrades, because it will be better for them to do one upgrade and get a lot more votes than to continue to spend money or bear money, voting week after week, So I think that it's unfair to viewers, we're all waiting with anticipation to see what's going to happen. And then that happened and we missed it. We basically just saw a clip of Kid Wire saying, cussing in the diary room when he was asked to do the tiebreaker. But we missed that. Now, to come to his decision, why he chose Praise. I think that firstly, he took out the competition. I don't remember what his reason for doing that was, but I think firstly, he would have considered that if Wathoni and Praise are up, and then I think somewhat Kid Wire still sees Wathoni as not so much competition. So the more he takes out the people. I remember that the week before, Big Brother had asked them if they voted along friendship lines or strategically, So if it was anything to go by, then maybe he would have considered that, okay, to him, anyway, since he doesn't know what's in the heart of the viewers, but then to him, but then it would seem to him, as far as their game was concerned, as less of a threat to him, as far as his game goes. So choosing him. Then again, there was also this little problem that they had earlier in the week, where he was clearly not pleased with
Yeah, we discussed that last week with praise, right? The
praise, yes.
whole chicken issue.
Yes, the whole
Yeah.
chicken issue. And Brighto then capitalized on that. And you see throughout the week, Brighto has continued to whisper, little things in Kidwire's ears. He has continued to do that. So I think by the end of the week, by the time the week was up and, he had to make a decision, he had come full circle as to, what he thought, what's his name now, praise was. And obviously a lot of influence of what Brighto had been saying to Kidwire.
There's also something that I think we don't speak about enough, which is that Wire is a desirable friend. And for someone like Bright, who likes scheming, knowing that Wire is who he is, the son of a billionaire, very well connected with the moving circle in Naija, the movers and the shakers, he's a desirable friend. And it seemed to me that Bright was determined to usurp Praise's position with Wire. Bright was determined to usurp Praise's position with Wire, so he capitalized on a discord that they had and ensured that break was there. That's one. Two, I do not feel like Wire, like you've alluded to, sees Wathoni as much of a threat. However, he knows by now that she's weak. That's the negative of this eviction process. He knows that she's weak. So why would you get rid of Wathoni now when someone you really care about might drop to the bottom four, and instead of sending that person home, you just send home Wathoni? So she serves because Wire is someone that thinks
as a
about
buffer.
Right.
Yes,
She's someone. Correct. He's someone that thinks about the game strategically. So Wathoni being there saves that space for him. Wathoni and Tricky T, he could nominate either one of them at any time he feels like it. And the presence there guarantees that he won't have to send home someone he actually enjoys in the game. But to speak about production issues, I'm very upset about this. And I know that in the scheme of things, we don't have any power, we can't change it, etc., etc. But again and again and again, I have to keep saying this is unjustifiable. Imagine missing such prime drama just to hear Ebuka announce that Praise was evicted. To me, it wasn't a good payoff. It just wasn't a good payoff. It was a historical moment in the history of BB Naija, and they just cast it aside for God knows what.
And just showed it as a clip on the website. I mean, how many people actually do go to the website to watch these things afterwards?
They could have included it in the ending montage of the show just to let us know something this monumental happened. They didn't do any of that. Now we will never see it on TV. It's not enough to say it's part. How do you watch the show? Do you watch the show on the website, on Africa Magic's website? Most people enjoy the show on television. The live broadcast is on television. That moment should have been included as part of the live broadcast. Again, we can complain from today till Mohammed comes back. Nothing is going to change, and that's just that. And let me take some quick comments from listeners on Twitter. Shorty says, I think Kid Y evicted Praise because he didn't consider Wathoni a strong contender.
That's correct.
Pet Project says Kid kept Wati because it considers her a weak link that could serve as a buffer if a favorite ends up in the bottom four. Exactly what I think as well. So apparently we had a break in our transmission on YouTube, and OVA has just uploaded a new link for the YouTube. So if you are trying to access the show via YouTube, please use the link that OVA has just uploaded. So do you want to check to see if we have any comments there right now?
We don't have any comments yet.
Okay, no comments on YouTube right now, probably due to the break in transmission. New listeners don't know that the show is back on. So that's just one of the downsides of hosting a live show. Anything can happen, and anything does happen. And
anything can happen.
That's right, and that's just the way it goes. All right. During the live eviction show, Ebuka quote unquote shook some tables. Listeners, if you've been listening to this radio show for a while, you know how I feel about the shaking table stuff. I'm not a fan of it because it's never done right. All right. So yeah, this Sunday he shook some tables. He presented a question to Tolani Badge that was ill-informed. He asked her about not wanting to work with Lucy in a group. It was not Tolani Badge that stressed that, it was Wire that stressed that. She then refused to swap t-shirts with him because he wanted a different color t-shirt because the color he picked was the group that Lucy was in. And he said to her he doesn't want to work with Lucy, so could they swap shirts? Tolani Badge said no, she wants to keep the shirt that she's currently got. Meanwhile, when Ebuka came to ask the question, he asked Tolani Badge why she didn't want to work with Lucy. Meanwhile, it was not Tolani Badge that said it, it was Wire. So that's what you people get for asking him to shake tables. When basic information is confused and mixed up like this, not the first, not the second, and it certainly won't be the last. So that's his scenario. Second scenario, now this one, I think, the information was accurate. He asked V why she was saying to Lekon not to speak to Erica, and her comments about
Casting and binding.
about him being under some kind of spell that she needed to cast and bind. And to my mind, whether you agreed with what she said or not, I really enjoyed her answer because it was true to the gossip that she was having about Erica earlier in the week. She didn't shirk in her answer. She gave the exact same response that she'd given Lekon earlier in the week. What did you think of that, Ifeanyi?
So yes, about the table shaking, I think there's a clear-cut difference between table shaking and outright interference. Like there's so many different ways that those table shaking questions could be worded, that won't make it look a type of way, Firstly, asking wrong questions to housemates based on things that didn't actually happen is like, And then, first it was Dora, like the week that Dora was asked a question that she knew for a fact that she didn't say anything like that. But then, he put it to her that he said it and said to her, you said, I heard you say it. And again, it's confused, like, it's almost looking like, am I not talking in my sleep? That sort of a thing. That's how she appeared to, because it was quite confusing for her as well, especially as she didn't say those words. Now, the Tiba situation too was really like, quite confusing as well. And then the back and forth with Brighto for me was so unnecessary because the host should know when to let a question go and move on to another, for other people and other questions instead of resorting to such personal exchange because it was really getting quite personal. Are you saying I'm a liar or am I lying or I don't know what I saw? I feel like there was really no need for that. And this was also the norm last season, especially with Chacha. I understand that the question sequence is not set by the host himself, it's probably set up by the whole production team and everything, but I think the host should definitely know when to back off. And also it's very important to come with accurate information. Imagine the other day the housemates were discussing and Dora asked, if they think Ebuka actually watches the show. So it means that, if it's become apparent, so Dara she was asking, I said, do you guys think Ebuka actually watches the show, So if it's become apparent to the housemates that it's possible that he doesn't watch the show, then
because
there's something
his information
wrong,
is incorrect.
Incorrect, exactly, So I think that production, again, should look into, sequencing. If you're asking a question, just basically like doing like a reorientation of when to stop, when to move on to something else, because last week was a hot mess. I'm not even going to lie. Like, going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth with the housemates in that manner. So
because
no,
there is a way to ask these questions, right? You don't, to me, I'm passionately against repeating what the housemate said verbatim on the live show. Because listen, they are not supposed to get any feedback from the public right now except when they're in the bottom four or when they're evicted. That's the only feedback they're supposed to get from us. Quoting a housemate rather directly should be against the rules of the show because it's direct interference. You could have asked Bright, what do you think of Neil? Do you understand? And then let Bright just say what he wants, and that informs the viewers about Bright's state of mind. He could have asked V, what was behind your discussion with Lekon what informed your discussion with Lekon earlier in the week? Then she could have explained herself. Again, the viewers who saw it would judge for themselves what V had to say. Then saying to Wire that people were gossiping about him. What's that about, really? Honestly, what's that about? Ask Wire, what do you think of your tenure as the head of house? Do you think you had the house under control? Then let him talk and then ask another housemate what they thought of his tenure as the head of house. To me, quoting a housemate directly is interference. And to me, that's not table shaking. That just shows that production sometimes, perhaps, maybe they're just out of ideas, because you can't be doing that. You can't, because now Neo has a fair idea of what Bright O has been saying behind his back. You might as well put a TV in front of Neo and let him watch what Bright O has been saying. Do you understand? They're not
Yeah,
supposed
yeah.
to have a they're not supposed to have a 360 view of the events in the house. That's the point of the
Mm-hmm.
show. Only we are supposed to see things from different sides and different angles, not the housemates. So I really, really, really didn't enjoy that. And once again, as with the nominations, Kinney, I know that we'll complain until we're blue in the face. Nothing is gonna change because they see how much engagement they get every time this happens. So it's gonna keep happening.
Happening. Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Like,
So I just want to
okay,
take
so
some. Go on, tell me.
comments, yes. I'd like to take some comments from YouTube. I think our YouTube channel is finally back up, so I can see our comments again. So, just being seven says, he doesn't do it right. Correct. Also, you cannot lie and say you're shaking tables. Mm, yes, I mean,
You're
then
building your own
Titi,
table now when you're lying. You're bringing your own table from outside.
yeah, it's not part of the already existing tables to
Do
shake.
you
Okay, that's good
understand?
about that. Then Titilayo Oluwanshaye says, I wonder if the tie was announced to housemates. Do they know that Kid had to choose between Wathoni
No,
and Praise? Does
they
Wathoni
don't.
even know Kid saved her?
They don't know. They don't know. They don't know. Just like we didn't know until we saw it on Twitter. They don't know. And it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Let me just take some comments from YouTube. Hot Yam Cheek says, I agree that there shouldn't be any interference from the host. The housemates shouldn't be quoted. Olugbemi says, the whole table shaking thing is very silly. The questions were confrontational rather than being open-ended to allow housemates to speak freely. If they
Mhm.
do it at all, they need a lot of refinement. Thank you, I agree. Tolu Olayinka says, sometimes the questions asked, I wonder if he or the team actually do watch the show. I mean, it reached to ask, oh my dear. And
Yeah.
at Nello's daughter, at Nello underscore daughter says, I don't think Ebuka left her any room for her to deny, with reference to V's answer to the question. And the last comment says, that choice, with reference to Wire's choice of praise, that choice wasn't really that strategic, I beg. After all, that was Praise's second time up too. Kid had a recency bias against Praise, especially with all the bile Bright O had been feeding him. If anything, Kid should have evicted Wathoni for giving his babes troubles. Kid.
Okay, so
Kid.
I'll take one more comment from YouTube. Jojo Med says the wrong information comes off as deliberate,
Yep.
and and then they're definitely interfering in the strategy of housemates by asking about discussions in the house word for word.
Yep. And remember, you guys, last season, Twitter was an outrage about them showing a direct video of Fraud crying to the housemates. That was again, and that video marred Fraud's experience in the house
For
during
the
his stay there.
entire show, yes, it did.
You don't do that. I mean, I thought they would have learned from that. You just don't do that. Honestly, this is like amateurish, and I don't understand why it persists. But you people that are asking Ibuka to shake tables, when you're asking him, at least ask him with sense and point him in the right direction and tell him what he's doing wrong, what he can do better. Because we all want the show to be interesting. We all want the housemates to be put on a spotlight. But what
We
we
also
don't
want the show
want.
to be fair, you
Exactly.
know.
Exactly. What we don't want is interference, because the interference will not favor some housemates whilst it will favor some. For example,
Mhm.
Lekon has never been asked directly why he's going about maligning Erica. Ozo has never been
Mhm.
asked directly why
Which,
he
which,
keeps.
as a matter of fact, is a big talking point on the show. So
Yep.
imagine that something as important as that on the show, because this has gone on for too long. It's never been mentioned once. The only time that Lincoln was mentioned in relation to um, Erica was when it was actually Erica that they asked, who then said, "Oh, Lincoln said I should give her space." Then they not asked him, "So did you say she should give you space?" What I'm saying is that if there's even anybody that should be asked direct question, because he's really, really gone on a tour in the house speaking about Erica, but no such question has ever been asked to him, and this is what week now. So I think that it seems deliberate, as one of the
Yeah,
listeners
yeah,
has
yeah, yeah.
mentioned. Yes.
And Ozo has never been asked why he keeps following Nengi up and down, because that's exactly his job in the house right now. To be no, but it's true, right? If we're
Oh
gonna put
yes, I agree
housemate,
with you.
if we're
Yes, I
gonna
agree
put
with you.
housemates on the spot, the things that are real talking points, address them then, so it's fair. Because it seems to me like certain housemates are being heated up while others are just allowed to chill on coast. Erica has been
Hmm.
heated up. Y has been heated up. V deservedly has been heated up. Bright. Tolani Badge unfairly, Dora unfairly. Oh yeah, now share this thing around. Let's go around like a passy pack now. Don't just restrict it to some one or two that are not as popular perhaps as the rest of the housemates. That's all we want, you know. Shake your tables about, be shaking the tables with sense, because you know it's not. I don't think it's too much to ask for at all. Now, next on the list is to discuss new HOH. I'm tired of speaking about Ozo. Only God knows. I can't.
Well, Ozo is also still the housemate. So yes, I think anyway, shout out to Ozo. Congratulations for winning the HOH position for the second time on this season. I think that the house exactly needs an HOH like Ozo, considering how the last 2 weeks have been, especially with Biggie's absence as well. So I think that Ozo being the HOH at this time is what the house needs. So once again, congratulations to Ozo for winning the HOH. Hopefully, well, I pray that your your reign, would make a difference this time around. Hopefully, they win their wager task this week, because I mean they've been in this house for 5 weeks and it's only once that they've actually enjoyed any extra thing that is not Indomie and the basic supply. So it would just be nice for them to win once more at least, because I think that the morale is also even low in the house. Like when you just feel like you just keep losing no matter what you do, because
Yeah,
and the truth is, yes, and the truth is, them losing is not necessarily as a result of their poor performance in their tasks.
it's a
You
rule
know,
breaking. It's a
it's
rule
a rule
breaking.
breaking. Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
yes. Again, I also think, Tola, what do you think? Before Big Brother, like in previous seasons, they used to have the option of wagering 100% of their task of their weight or whatever, or 50% or but now it's like they have to just wager 100%. I think that's also made for some sort of
Well, to answer the
to say.
question,
Yes, go ahead.
I think these particular set of housemates, they should not be allowed to wager anything less than 100%. I beg. Let them wager every. Do your best. Wager every. Because if you give them a choice, they'll just be wagering 50% and be like, oh, well, we still got 50% left. It doesn't matter. They should be wagering 100%.
But in fairness to
Congratulate.
them, Tola, but in fairness to them, like they're actually
Wait.
doing good in their tasks.
Oh, wait, let me finish. Congratulations to Ozo. May your reign be successful. May you not bore us to death with family meetings. I wish you.
Time
I,
out, time out, Tola, time out, time out,
I wish you a successful reign, because
time
that
out.
that guy, I beg. No, you know what's funny? He's probably the housemate that I tweet the most about, because I find him the most interesting. His fans will find this hard to believe. His fans,
Interesting,
you
Tola.
find this hard to believe, but he interests me the most because he came into the house so different from everybody else. Class wise, he's got a few housemates in common, but experientially, a guy that looks like that, people say he's attractive, he's well spoken. No,
Sorry.
I don't agree. That's what I'm saying. People say he's attractive, he's well spoken, and he's got the skin tone that Nigerians die over. When you see him, you think like he's got swag, he's got, but he's just meek, and he doesn't have much experience of anything. Women, love, life, like he refers to the same stories. So his growth really interests me. So I'm harder on him that I am on other housemates, because I just want to see a swagged out Ozo. I just want him to like say fuck it, move to any girl on the show, put people in their place when they're disrespecting him, those kinds of things. I would love for him to do that. So maybe yes, I am a little hard on him, but I find him super interesting. That's why he's the one I tweet about the most, because he's actually not my fave, though I like him. But you find, if you check my tweets, it's Osman, because he just intrigues me.
Because you won't mind your business.
BBN is my entire business. The guy just intrigues me, and that leads us onto the final topic of the night, which is Dora. Last week we shown a spotlight on Tricky T, who was unfortunately once again in the bottom three. Some people are leading a campaign for him to come out of the bottom three. Let's see how that goes this week. But yeah, so we want to shine a spotlight on Dora. Dora as a housemate and her journey in the house so far. Right. Dora is an interesting housemate, if I want you to agree. Please give us your thoughts on Dora, her journey, her circle, her alliances, etc.
Okay, yes, Dara is one of the most interesting actually. So when you say interesting and you refer to Ozo, it gives me some pause because um am I really like I'm not really sure what the exact word means or because you can't even put someone like Dara and Ozo in the same plane when it comes to interesting. So yes, Dora, why I like Dora is because um she is for a girl as young as she is, she has sense, you know. I think she's one of the youngest people in the house, but she's really loaded
Yes.
with, yes, a lot of wisdom. She knows how to read a room. She knows how to respect herself. She knows how to say enough is enough. And I think that's
Yeah.
like a very important quality, especially in a place like that where you have different people. Because I mean, if you leave people, everybody won't put hand inside your eye. Do you
Yep.
understand? But then, for Dora, she knows when to blink. She knows when to say, "Hey, stop it." That's enough. Like the situation with Ozo. I mean, that situation was so annoying because at some point, um, it was really Ozo that made it seem like, and I mean, when Ebuka said what he said, I didn't quite see Ozo try to correct that impression to Nengi. You know, Nengi kept saying, I didn't even know people were fighting because of me. Or I didn't, all those things
She
that
knew. She knew.
you know but she didn't. What I'm saying is that it didn't exactly like the way what Ebuka said wasn't exactly what, because I mean, oh, I didn't know that she told you that she liked you, or she said that she liked you, but that wasn't true. And also knew that there was never any competition like that with Dorothy, but he didn't step up. He didn't try to say, hey, no, listen, this is not what happened. I think there's some sort of misunderstanding here and all of that. But I like how Dora handled it. At some point she figured out that, listen, I have to own my own peace. If I don't give myself peace, nobody will give it to me. So she had to do what she had to do. Initially, it seemed to the viewers that this girl is being harsh to this boy. He has begged her now. That's okay. I'm not going to be enemies with you, but can I breathe? Can I get space from this mess? Because week after week after week, she's being called for something that's is really not her business at the end of the day. In fact, the people that are even inside the ship self were now people that were inside the ship were not called as much as she was being called. For just being almost like an outsider in the ship. Or at least till end of the triangle. So I like how Dora took charge of her stuff and say, hey, listen, I'm not doing this anymore. So even when Ozo tried to put pressure and of course, as he likes to do, to put pressure and insist that, oh, you must give me your attention and all that, she said no, she wasn't having any of it at all. So I like that, at that age she's able to discern, because I mean, I know that even out here there's people who struggle with setting boundaries. I like that she was able to set boundaries for that. Now the second situation will be the situation with Tony. I like that she's honest to herself, because she's been, if anybody snatch man from anybody, nah, Wathani snatch Bright. Do you get what I mean? Because they've been flirting for a long time. Do you understand? Like they've been flirting for a long. In fact, since the week that Ebuka asked her the question, which is why she was very upset that Bright would say, "Oh, she thought that Dora liked Ozo," because that was the same weekend, the same Saturday when she said to her, "Oh, I'd like to kiss you." So if they've been flirting like that, the whole time, and then this happened. But I also like that she was able to recognize that, listen, I'm not here to fight over any man, whether I like you or not. And she's true to herself. Even though I feel like Dorothy is holding back a lot, because as an avid watcher of the show as well, she also knows how to, work the viewers as well, which is also, I mean, like, she's playing, it's not such an obvious game she's playing, but I know that she's playing her game and she's playing it good.
Yeah, like I always say, I don't care if you've got a strategy. Just make it sweet for us. That's all. Don't make it obvious. Make it sweet for us. That's my own. Where
Yes.
Where Dorothy is concerned, I appreciate her discernment. I appreciate that she recognized that her story in the house is becoming that of Dozone and Dozo,
Yes, that's
and she
correct.
managed to maneuver that and remove herself from the triangle. I think she had a week where she really descended to a low. That's when she was angry at Ozo, angry at Nengi, and she was speaking in not so favorable terms
Yes.
about Nengi in particular. But since then, she has been able to move out of that circle, form new alliances with other housemates. So her friendship, for example, with Lucy has really improved markedly. She's speaking more to all of the women, and her relationship with Prince is also flourishing. Like you said, Dorothy is an avid watcher of the show. But more than that, she recognizes that alliances are super important. So
Important, yeah, exactly.
even though she has a very close relationship with Lucy, a very easy and free friendship with Prince, she's also got one with Lekon. She's also got one with Neil. You know, she's also got one with V. She's got one now. She's being super deliberate about developing one with Nengi, because she is smart and she understands how certain things look to viewers, and also how these alliances can shape her continued stay in the house. People say Dorothy is playing a game. I don't disagree, because I think everybody in the house is playing a game. Even
Oh,
if you
for
come
sure.
even if you come into the house without a strategy, quote unquote, as the game unfolds, you guys use your brain now and realize one or two. Okay, she also knows her ones and twos, because she's R&D, and she knows, okay, she's clocked this guy, this guy, this girl, this girl, my allies, this one, this one, they're in the periphery of my friendship group, I'm cool with them. So she's maneuvering. In fact, from the outside looking in, she's playing the best game of all the players on the show. I'm very fond of Dorothy. I really, really, really hope that she makes it to the finals, you know, and the way she's playing her game for future housemates, even if you're not naturally gregarious like she is, study the way she goes about making allies. Study it, because they will give Dorothy a long rope. They will give her the room to be rude to them. They will give her the room to make fun of them. They will give her room to verbally joust with them. The kind of room and the kind of benefit of doubt that they won't necessarily give another housemate,
Yeah,
you know.
that's correct.
And that's something that she by herself has cultivated. So I really, really like Dorothy. For example, when I said, if you remember a couple of weeks ago when I had a rant about Lilo, Dorothy is the opposite of everything Lilo was, you know, which is a woman with a head firmly in the game. Even this thing with Bright, I don't really believe that she likes him, but I believe that she wants to create her own thing outside of the Dozone kind of situation, you know.
I agree with you completely, Tola.
And knowing when to step out of it as well is also evidence of her smarts, of her prescience, of her being able to look at the bigger picture and seeing where she fits and where she doesn't fit. She's a fantastic housemate. I mean, to be fair, all the housemates to me are individually not very interesting, but when you look at Dorothy, you look at someone like Praise. You look at someone like Tricky T. You look at someone, who else? Neo. These housemates, and V more recently, these housemates are the most interesting individually, or they are the most interesting housemates on the show. I wish Dorothy well. She's a really fantastic game player, and I really, really hope to see as the weeks go on that she gets better and better. Do we have any comments from YouTube?
Yes, we do. But before that, Tola, I'd like for us to talk about the voting. Voting closes in a few minutes. So if you haven't voted, go to the Not Just Okay handle and vote
Housemates
for
of
your
the week.
favorite housemate of the week. Yes. So there's a poll going on right now. If you haven't voted, please go and vote for your housemate of the week. So now, to take some of the comments on YouTube, Demi O says, "Who is your fave, Tola?" Tola is going to tell us very soon who her fave is. Dora, then Demi O also says, Dora has a sense of self. She is well grounded. Yes, that's very correct, Demi. Oluwanifemi Opatunde says, Dora has been an amazing housemate. She has managed all the dicey situations she has found herself in with so much grace, and it is very interesting. That's absolutely correct, Oluwanifemi.
Yes. Thank you for that, Oluwanifemi. And to go to Twitter, take some quick comments from the listeners. Nello's underscore daughter says, Ozor likes to omit a lot of things on purpose. Yeah, she's a Dora fan, so she'll know. Hot Yam Cheek says, I agree with your analysis of Dorothy at Iffy at GK. And Tweety Bird at Purple Tweety B says, me too, I'm rooting for Dora. Triangles, rectangles, and pentagons at R&D Baby Girl says, I think it's even dumb to go into a show like that with that strategy. If it doesn't work, at least you know you tried. Me, I agree with you with my
Absolutely. Your
chest.
full chest, like
yes,
Dorothy.
and to speak of my favorite housemates, I don't have one. My favorite housemate was Lilo. If you know me, you will know that she fits the kind of housemate on paper that I like to support. female, seemed to exude the sense of self that's interesting. And then she got subsumed into a romance and she bounced deservedly. So now I don't have a favorite house. I don't have a favorite housemate, which is good for me because I can look at everybody and cuss them in equal in equal measure. But I am fond of Ozo. I am fond of Erica. I am fond of Tolani Badge. I'm growing fond of Lekon. And I
Kid
think
Wire.
I like Kidwai a lot, and I really like Nengi. So I mean, quite a few people with different, characters and all that. And of course, my baby Dorothy. I'm really rooting for Dorothy. She wins, I'll be super happy. So these are the people that I'm really interested in on the show currently. Tweety Bird disagrees with me. She says V is not interested in Jerry. I don't agree with that. I think for the past fortnight, she has been quite interesting. A lot of the happenings in the house have revolved around her. And she has a very sharp mouth and she makes things happen. When they have tasks, she's screw face, but if it's about singing, she's front and center. So I think in the past fortnight, V has shown herself to be multi-dimensional, and she's proven to be quite an interesting housemate up until this point. So yeah, let's check who you guys have voted for as your housemate of the week. Is
the poll over?
The poll should be over now. It's almost 9:30. It's almost 9:15. Okay, well, whilst the poll might not be over, let me just take one quick comment from Oluwanifemi. Thank you very, very much for this. As a first-time listener, I really enjoyed the show tonight. The spotlight on Dorothy was spot on. Great job at Afro 7. Thank you very much, Oluwanifemi, and we hope you tune in next time and you hang with us once again. We enjoy doing this. Okay. OVA, our amateur R&D listener says the poll is definitely over. And this week we had, for your housemates of the week, we had Neo, we had Tolani Badge, we had Kid Wire, and we had V. If you ask me, the housemate of the week is V. However, going by your vote, he is a kid from Benue, standing at 6'1" tall, the son of one Terry Wire, a proud Benue man. For the second time, your housemate of the week is Tessia Kid Wire. Congratulations to Kid Wire, and congratulations to Kid Wire fans. I guess he deserves it. He had a very interesting week as well. A very, very busy week, Tweety Bird asked, are we talking about the twist in the game today? What twist in the game today? Did you see a twist, or was a twist on whilst we were on air?
Not exactly. I'm not sure what she was referring to, but maybe we'll get it for next week.
Yes, we'll get that for next week, Tweety Bird, as soon as we catch up. Elsion also says, I don't think V is particularly interesting. I do love Dora, especially as she's been able to reinvent herself. Well, it's okay. We all have different perspectives. Any last things you would like to add before we round up?
I think that's basically it. It's been an interesting time with you again on the show, Tola. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I think that we will just do this again next week, Tuesday, same time next week.
Yes. Just as my co-host said, it was a pleasure as always. You know the vibes, and if you don't get to know, this is BB Naija Lockdown Breakdown. It's always our pleasure sharing this time with you and dissecting our favorite show. Say welcome to all the new R&D people, and if you see their threads that's full of misinformation, please point them in the right direction, because some people are tweeting some things that it shows that you don't watch the show. You don't actually watch the show.
Yeah, that's correct.
Stop doing philomongism and actually watch the damn show, please. And this is very important, and I meant to say it last week and I forgot. Now, this is our show in the sense that we all who are tuned into this radio show, we clearly watch the show on a different level to most people, because we're interested in deeper analysis of the ongoings in the house. If you see a tweet, body shaming, look shaming, gender shaming, sex shaming, any housemate, it is your duty to not amplify the tweet. Please just report the handle. Don't partake in shaming a housemate, and don't spread any tweets shaming a housemate. Please, this show, the housemates themselves are not toxic. Let's not introduce toxicity from Twitter, from Facebook, from Nairoland, whatever, to the show. Let's just enjoy the show in peace. Let's treat the housemates as people who are flawed just like we are, so we treat them with the utmost respect. I'm speaking to myself, and I'm speaking to all the people that watch the show. What do you have to say about that, Ife?
Yes,
Right.
I agree with you 100%, Tola. I think that the housemates, as a matter of fact, are mostly, chilled, laid back people. There's not a single person in the house that I would say is problematic, They're all different in their various rights. So I think that it's unfair for the fans and the viewers to try to set up, camps of hate, for these housemates who are generally having a good time in the house. So I'll say again, as Tola has already said, I'll just add to what Tola has already said. Please and please do not encourage people to body shame anyone. Do not call people names. I don't think that. I mean, like, they're there to entertain us. I think it's unfair for people to create unnecessary problems for them on the outside. That's unfair and it's absolutely wrong.
Very well said, Ife. And with that said, we close out the show. Thank you very, very much for sticking with us, and we hope to do this again next week. Feel free to at me with any questions or any points you want us to discuss. At me anytime. I'll save it in my folder and we'll bring it up on Tuesday next week. Once again, it is my pleasure, and it has been Afro7, it's been Ife, and it's been OVA dropping in once in a while. Thank you very much, not just okay. Thank you very much to listeners, and we shall do this again next week. Peace.
Peace in the Middle East.